Live.
Hello, everyone. Uh, Jacob Niemeier here with Vera Aqua Vera Vida. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. We're starting about 6 minutes late here on the live stream. We had some IT issues, but we thank you for being patient with us. If you're listening in from wherever you are, whether it be on your computer, a device, like your phone or a tablet, or maybe you're just not even watching, but you're just listening while you're driving or doing some other chore or work. We're just so happy to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us for this live stream. It is a blessing to be able to have this opportunity to sit down with a couple of our most dedicated and loyal volunteers and missionaries, Hans Ingold and David Callan. Thank you all for joining us today on this Imagine a Day Without Water. This is an event, this live stream, I should say, is something we've been doing for the last couple of years just to create a little bit more noise on this day every year that happens on the third Thursday of October, where we gather with millions of others across our country in the United States of America to just take a moment and pause and imagine a day without water. And for us at Baraka Vera Vida, those that follow our mission, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about us and you're going to learn more. But for us, imagining a day without water is so much more than just doing the act of imagining. That is really just the catalyst to move us into action. This is a national day, as I mentioned before, where we don't want to just think twice. We want to act, and we want to provide access to clean and reliable water. So I want to emphasize that there's a reality that we are working to address at Baraka Vera Vida called the global water crisis. For us, we're addressing a very small, microscopic part of this reality in Peru, where we are serving a hypothetical population that is primarily very poor, impoverished, and living under the scourge of lack of access to clean water, and oftentimes lack of access to a reliable supply of water to meet all of their daily needs. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. And so Hans and David, as I have already mentioned, are longtime missionaries who have traveled with us to Peru multiple times. And so let's dive in and get to know them a little bit more and learn a little bit more about their experience working and volunteering for our organization. So first, before that, I want to introduce myself very quickly. I am Jacob Niemeier. I'm the founder and executive director of our nonprofit NGO, Baraka Vera Vida. And we incorporated Baraka Vera Vida back in June of 2017 as a nonprofit here in the state of Texas. We are also, as of March of 2018, we got our 501c3 status with the IRS. And since then, we've been operating to bring access to clean water to the rural and impoverished peoples in Peru. To date, we've been able to provide access to clean water to 8,500 plus people, plus wastewater services to 7,000 plus people across 2 different communities. We've also been able to deliver over 4,000 care packages as a part of our care package program. Check out our website, givetruewater.org, to learn more about that. And we've also been able to implement our water sanitation and hygiene. So physical water, plus as a organization, Baraka Vera Vida, that is rooted in Catholic values and principles, we also want to bring an encounter with the living water of Jesus Christ to the people that we're serving. So a part of our education workshop, our WASH education, is the theology of the body education, where we're giving that encounter with the deeper spiritual realities of our life and helping to nourish the whole person, helping the people that we're serving to go from simply surviving to truly thriving, that we may all experience the human flourishing that we were created for. And to date, we've been able to implement that education curricula across 4 different communities, impacting collectively the entirety of these populations in these communities, totaling more than 10,000 people, because we're really focused on dispersing what we share and decentralizing and getting it out to change lives. So that's a little bit about me and Baraka Vera Vida. At this point in time, I want to encourage our panelists here with us today, Hans and David, to give a little bit of an introduction of themselves and why they are here and how they're connected with VAVV Vida, and also mention how many trips they've been on with us on our annual mission trip to Peru. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Hans. So Hans, take us away.
All right. And I'm happy to be here today to discuss this important topic. I guess taking a step back, I originally got involved with VAVV Vida in the early stages of the journey of this. Really simple ways of prayer warrior, being a monthly donor, and then little by little got more and more involved in ways to be a little more active, a little more on the front lines, so to speak, instead of behind the scenes. And that led me to become a missionary and go to Peru in the areas where we serve there. I've been on mission 3 times, and already looking to the future, planning on a 4th time next summer. Shameless plug, anyone that ever even thought about going on a mission trip, it's an experience. I highly recommend to just go to, just check it out and find out more information about that. I'll get into this more a little bit later, but personally, I was born in the Middle East and in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, a very arid desert environment. Went back many times with my family growing up, and the experience in Peru actually reminded me a bit of the kind of environment that's in the Middle East as well. But I'll save more details of that for later.
Wonderful. Thank you for introducing yourself, Hans. And yeah, so grateful to have you as a part of our organization. From, as you mentioned, usually you say from the beginning, I say from the first year of our organization, but definitely you've been with us for a long time. We're just so grateful to have you. David, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your connections with VAVV.
Yeah, so my name is David Cowan. I'm a professional engineer in South Florida. My focus is water resources. So I was looking for an opportunity to take and get involved with an organization where I could take and put the knowledge that I had to work helping other people. And I tried some other organizations first, and I wasn't able to kind of get traction in terms of getting on a trip and getting involved, other than being part of some of a few planning meetings here and there. So when we found VAVV Vida, we were actually trying to find a different organization, but God had other plans for us. And so we ended up finding a organization in Texas instead of Florida. And, I could say that VAVV Vida had a lot of opportunity for me to get active in all different ways. My family, I have a younger daughter, she's 17, and there was opportunities for her and my niece to get active. So it's just been a really open-armed opportunity for me and my family. I'm someone that had kind of fallen away from my faith at one point, and so it's been really good to be on a faith journey, rediscovering my relationship with God, and VAVV Vida has been part of helping me on that journey as well. So a lot of things I'm very grateful for having found this group and the opportunities it provides. So
wonderful. Yeah, and I got to add one thing to what David said. It's so providential that he found us in the first place, and I am a firm believer, and I think David would attest to this, that this is completely part of God's plan, because he's been so instrumental in coming on our mission trip the last couple years and being a part of our engineering volunteer team, and really helping bring that skill and expertise that he has as a water resources civil engineer to bear in our mission, which is so fundamental to what we're trying to accomplish, which is bringing sustainable infrastructure to these people. So God has a plan. Oftentimes we don't even see it, and sometimes we don't even recognize the fullness of it until way later. But I can definitely say that I'm already starting to see the fruits of him bringing you to our team, David, and both of you, frankly, Hans and David. So happy to be able to have this conversation with you. You all have seen what it's like for people that live without access to clean water. So let's paint that picture for everyone watching, because sometimes it's hard for people to imagine that. It's hard to even pictures and video and really vivid stories don't even capture until you see it firsthand. But let's try. Let's try. And I think more than anything, those personal testimonies, those experiences that you all have had from being boots on the ground with us in Peru, even if it still doesn't paint the full picture and it doesn't, give someone that's listening or watching this later the full understanding, you'll at least be able to communicate your passion and how it's transformed your life. And that may speak volumes more even than the picture that we're trying to paint. But let's try to do both. And so with that in mind, when I'm going to just ask a question and then I'm going to call on one of you to answer it. So this one's for Hans. When you first visited Peru, what struck you most about how families living without clean water are getting by? What does that life look like for them? What struck you the most about that?
Yeah, excellent question. I kind of touched on it a minute ago, but just the environment is very, very difficult. And not even, going into the economic opportunities and the poverty that exists there. But just the day-to-day of living in, a subtropical desert. And if we can just imagine, it's just dusty. Like you found in your, to use a poor sports analogy, it's like you went to played baseball game and came home and you're just covered in mud everywhere. Or even, I think about like going to the beach and you come like you have to stay shower, but covered in sand, and it kind of just sticks to you in that way. It's I think that kind of reflection actually is so it means we stop and think about that the people there are so ingrained, so to speak, in this way of life, and it's obviously in that environment, it's obviously difficult to procure that water, but the impact that it has on simply kids missing school, or parents not being there because they need to go procure that water, or simple health concerns that come up with consuming water that possibly hasn't been through the appropriate purification methods. And I'm not the engineer, the subject. I can understand and empathize with the reality of having that access to clean drinking water, or even just being a little about what that might be contaminated with.
Yeah. Thank you
I
for
could add to
that.
that some.
David, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah. You know, I think that for me, the first thing is like when I arrived there, just as somebody like visiting, and I don't have, you know, this is a short term condition for me, you know, but everything I do is, you know, I'm thinking about things that I never have to think about while I'm in the United States. While I'm in the United States, I know if I get thirsty, there's going to be a water fountain in any public place, and I'm going to be able to access it without a problem. Immediately when I get to Peru, I have to start thinking about where am I going to buy water, because even if there is a water fountain, I can't drink that water. And so that, you know, and then, you know, access to water to be able to clean up and wash up before different meals and things like that adds to that compound, you know, of that problem. And so then, and that's in kind of even major areas in large cities that we're thinking about this and having to deal with it as somebody visiting the environment. But then I think about the fact that most of the communities we go to do not have running water. And so if you can think about or imagine for a moment, anytime if you've ever been camping and the challenges there is in terms of washing dishes, washing your hands, just staying clean without the availability of running water and having to, you know, decant water from containers and dribble it out. It's such a frustrating thing. And we do that for a few days and we call it, you know, an experience. They live that life all the time, and the challenge and inefficiencies that come with that. I know that my wife commented with all of that challenge, she was always impressed with how well put together all the children were, even with that challenge of, you know, having access to clean running water. So regardless of the fact that it's a challenge, you know, the people that we're interacting with are incredibly proud people that I was always impressed with the way they confronted that challenge, and, you know, um, overcame it to the best of their ability and probably better than I would be able to, in all honesty. So and then just one last thing, you know, you can kind of get a sense of it, but what really hit home last time I was on mission, I remember we were handing out care packages and I looked into one of the people's houses as we were standing at their door, and like over her shoulder, I could see that she had one 55-gallon drum open, filled with water, and two 5-gallon pails, and that was the water that household was using for the day, you know. And, you know, the idea of like, oh, you're going to wash up in a 5-gallon pail, you know, and that's your only option, is just vastly different than what we live with here in the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
You hit the
If
nail
I
on
may,
the head. I think both of y'all on that. Yeah, go ahead, Hans.
well, I'm just glad David said that, because it calls to mind, you know, the idea of camping, but also the gallon challenge, living for one full day on 1 gallon of water, right? And that experience personally taught me, you know, a half of that out just to flush the toilet one time, and that was all. You know, if I either could go to the bathroom twice, or I was going to have half a gallon to you know, brush my teeth and all my other needs. So yeah, to think, and that's even before showering, you know, on and on. And yeah, it's just a to like see that, and be confronted with that every single day, and, you know, learn how to conserve and, yeah, you know, like David said, like, conserve, or have that understanding of, how to do that.
I love that gallon
Yeah,
challenge idea. I've never done it, and I think I'm going to take on the challenge.
yeah, you need to. And shout out to Hans for bringing that to attention. We have it on our website. We call it the Solidarity Challenge. It's where you choose one day to live on just a gallon of water for all of your needs. Now, I will couch it when we say we do not encourage that you count into that one of those needs the use of the toilets, just because there's, you know, sanitation and hygiene issues there. And I'm glad to see that Hans took it to the next level when he
All
did it. He was all in, which is no surprise to me at all, based on what I know of him and the kind of man that he is. I want to spend a little bit of time to change the directions here. You know, we've talked a little bit about.
Jacob,
Yes, please.
you have 4 minutes left. I don't know if out there to you.
No, we're fine.
Just
I'm tracking time.
Okay.
I'm going to make a time check
Okay.
here. It is not going to end us until I click
Okay.
end stream. Right now,
I have
we are
time.
20.
So.
Yeah, we are 20 minutes in. We did start 6 minutes late. So if those that are watching would love to continue joining and listening in on the conversation, we're going to run 6 minutes past the scheduled end time. So just a time check for our crew here as well on the live stream. I do want to take a moment and change gears a little bit away from your encounter with the reality of the lives of these people to the impact that you have personally seen with them having clean water in the communities that we have brought that to, and the trajectory of change it begins to set them on, the hope and the kind of the light in their eyes that there can be a better future, maybe is another way to say that. What have you witnessed, each of you? And I'll kick it to David first, but what have you witnessed in that regard? And, you know, a couple questions to prompt you. You know, how does what you've seen seem to have changed the everyday life for these families, especially the kids and the women and the mothers that are oftentimes the most impacted by this, and, you know, the elderly as well? And if you had to sum it up, what's the biggest difference that you see before and after? You know, before we've gotten them clean water and then after. And, you know, speak to that to the best of your ability. So we'll go with David first on that.
Yeah. So it's a little bit challenging for me, only because I've been the communities that we've been engaged with since I've been involved have been a community that we brought water, or we had already brought water to, and then one that we're bringing water to. But I can definitely say, you know, the excitement that's generated as we start the process and start moving forward is incredible. And you know, as we have gotten, we have a half step or a partial step right now to a community that you know, we got a water truck to, and so you can see that water out in the community and being used. So you know, and then having walked that, you can definitely know what when we walked that community, what it was like before not having access to water. So that's, you know, really dramatic. You know, and then I remember when we went to Monte Castillo, which Vera Aqua Vera Vida had already brought water to before I became involved. You know, to see the way the community kind of came around, the system that was there, and how it kind of interacted with the school that was right nearby and providing access to clean water to like the children who are most at risk. There's two schools right nearby where they set up the source water. So, you know, you can see how it was having an impact in the community as well, especially as a juxtaposition to the type of water that they had access to before that. You know, you really can't understand what people are willing to like take on as their drinking water until you look in the canal that they're pulling buckets out of, or looking at the you know, container that they're using contaminated water from. So yeah, that's kind of my commentary at this moment.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm gonna pull up a picture here, if it's okay for everyone, of kind of the reality of this while Hans answers the question. So for those that are watching, they can see what David was just describing, the type of water that these people have been drinking before and after, for instance, in Monte Castillo. So while I pull that up, Hans, you want to spend a little bit of time sharing your thoughts on that question?
Yeah. As you were prompting us, my mind kind of went a little bit in a more spiritual, I'll give kind of a spiritual answer to that question. And the idea of like having one's thirst quenched, right? My priest, pastor of my parish church, he was from Vietnam and spent about a month or more on a boat before he was picked up by the U.S. Navy. He preaches about this thirsting that he had, and that first sip of water that he took, like after he had been picked up. And it's something that I've been reflecting on. It is really kind of hard to even to imagine, honestly, to think of like, I mean, I can think about the times that I've had like the most thirst quench, so to speak, like maybe after like playing 10,000 soccer games as a kid and not hydrating, and then that first sip felt really good, right? But it's really hard to think about like really what providing clean water means to them, right? It's you talk about the eyes lighting up. It's almost like an awakening, and just that basic needs, so simple, but having their thirst quench. And I like to point out, right behind you, Jacob, there's a picture of Jesus and the woman at the well, and like she came to Jesus and like had that living water, right? Vera aqua vera vita, true water, true life. Like that encounter, that experience was just so profound. It's hard to put into words, but going on mission, I've seen that in the difference that it makes in these people's lives, and it truly is. I love the stat of the for one, the amount of waterborne illnesses that you went from like 90% of the town to like 10% of the town afterwards. Like phenomenal differences, right? And that that stat of that, every amount that we get giving someone clean water for generations, those last two words, for generations, it's like the towns take ownership that that clean water system is not just it's there to change their life in the present, but it's just like it's hard into perpetuity, and so it's the kids and the grandkids and everyone. It just changes everything.
Right, it absolutely does. And I just want to make a note here. We were about a minute and a half away from the end of our live stream, and I want to end on a strong note here. I pulled up a screen share here of our website. If you've not visited it before, if you have, maybe go visit it anew to get a deeper reminder and inspiration for the why, the how, and the what of our mission with VAVV. And I think if we don't start with the why, then the how and the what don't have a solid foundation, and we can lose focus and we can lose the inspiration that we need. The why is, this is the reality of this community in Monte Castillo that's been mentioned. That we were bringing, that we brought clean water to back in 2019. They were drinking the water out of this canal. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I would not drink that water. And then afterwards, they're getting this fresh, clean water right out of our system that we built. And that's what we do. That's the impact that we have to help these people no longer have to imagine a day without water. And that's why we're having this conversation today on Imagine a Day Without Water. I do want to close with, I think, something that hopefully will allow each of y'all to feel that kind of deeper inspiration to take action. And for me, it started, and I'll conclude and then set each of you all up to share your own three main motivators. For me, it was dignity of the person at the very beginning. I saw an affront to the dignity. They didn't have clean water. Then it was their people are dying. They're struggling to survive. Every 90 seconds to 2 minutes, a child is dying from waterborne disease. And that layered on my motivation. And now encapsulating all of that is the human flourishing of these people, their well-being, the life that they can have if we can just meet this basic need and begin to set them on a trajectory of change. So that would be like my closing thought for our audience, for those that are watching and listening. What are the three things, if there are, or maybe it's just one thing that are the main motivators for both of you, David and Hans, that keeps you coming back, keeps you supporting the mission, keeps you giving of your time, your talent, and your treasure to advance the cause?
I mean, I can go. I'll hit it first. I think that for me, it's a sense of obligation. I live an incredibly blessed life. I'm very lucky in so many ways. I definitely didn't get what I deserved in life. So, any way I can take and pay it forward is, with blessings comes obligation. And so that's my main driver for this. But I kind of wanted to add on to that just something to possible future missionaries that may be listening. If you're somebody that is extremely passionate about faith and want an opportunity to recharge, or if you're somebody that's looking to understand more about what that could mean to you, this opportunity can be both of those things for each of those people. That's been my experience. And then, if you think that this is a technical thing, that you have to be, an engineer or a professional or a strong Spanish speaker, I can tell you, you don't need any of those skills either to be part of this. There's so much work to be done and so many good jobs for us as missionaries there, from carrying the word to just being part of the group, making sure that things are getting done. So if you're questioning whether or not there's a place for you in this opportunity, I can say in all ways, shapes, and forms that I know that there is. So that's what I'll use my time for.
Awesome. That's great, David. Hans, closing remarks.
Yeah, I think I just bring it down to that mission mindset. I feel God's blessed me with a good sense of mission on an international level, global level. And, I like what David said about like that obligation, but that some people may call it like living with purpose, or what drives you, what gets you up in the morning, like however you want to say it. But that mission of going out and making an impact, that quite frankly, I really don't even, I don't even necessarily have a full knowledge of what that may look like down the line, or even a complete understanding of living it, but really something that can be put into words in that sense. It's just that that driving force of just going out and always pressing forward, never looking back. All the cliches, but like that, being driven by that is what keeps me going back every year, and looking forward to doing it again, because there is amazing, real, tangible impacts that we've seen.
Yeah, 100%. And if it's not already clear by the fact that we're nearly 5 minutes over here, we could go on and on all day about this topic and the impact that it's had, the need for what we're doing, but we need to get back at it. So we're here with you in this mission together. We want to give clean water to people in need, and we need your help. The people that we're serving need your help. And we not only want to give a life of human flourishing and thriving to those that we're serving, bringing access to clean water to, but as it was already said by Dave and echoed by Hans, when you join a cause like ours, if you're not already a part of what we do, first off, if you are, thank you. We could not do it without you. You are so instrumental, and we hope that being a part of the VAVV Founder has been transformational for you. But if you're on the fence and you're thinking about it, now's the time. Get in, experience the transformation that will happen in your own life too when you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure for something that is bigger and greater than yourself, that is in service of others. And so thank you, David and Hans, for sharing a little bit of your experience, your thoughts, your insights, and what drives you to be a part of what we're doing. I do want to mention, if you want to learn more, or just, again, as I already said, refresh yourself on VAVV if you're already part of our organization, just visit our organization's website at givetruewater.org. You can find out all the ways to get involved there. We have a page on that website called Take Action, and you can see some of those most immediate ways you can get involved as a donor. Get on the Mission with Us page. It's, if you're interested really in going with us next year and having that experience that David and Hans have had, and hopefully we'll continue to have as they hopefully will come with us again next year. Fill out the form on that page. Be the first in line to be notified when the mission trip opens. Registration in January, in about 3 months from now. I want to also add, for those that are on the Christian Catholic side of what we're doing, I want to mention that we are also building a wonderful optional pilgrimage package that's going to be offered as a part of the mission trip, that for those that want to go walk in the footsteps of Pope Leo XIV and have an encounter with the rich Catholic Christian heritage of Peru. That's going to be something that's going to be an additional option to the mission trip. So stay tuned for more information about that. Again, be notified about that by getting on the Mission with Us page and filling out that form there on the website. Again, together we can imagine, and not just imagine, but take action and build a world where no one has to live a single day without clean water. Thank you all so much.
Before you end, Jacob, can I just take 5 seconds and just thank my employer, Baxter & Woodman, as I sit in their office and they support me in all these efforts. I can't not take a moment and thank them for the support that they give me as a company to do this mission work and contribute to the cause.
And I want to
thank you. I cut you off.
Thank you, Baxter & Woodman, for becoming a donor for VAVV and supporting our mission. And maybe next year we can have them be a sponsor. They can be the sponsor for the live stream.
Sounds good.
We'll talk about that. So awesome. Thank you all so much. Everyone have a great day. Together, let's continue to give true water, true life. God bless. Peace.